if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Mic up. I need my microphone on. We just heard gunshots at former President Trump's campaign event in Pennsylvania. We do not see former President Trump standing right now. We see a group of people gathering around the space where he once stood. We now see armed guards. We don't know if those are law enforcement or his private security detail. And we heard screams from the crowd. We do not know where those gunshots came from. You are looking live in Pennsylvania. It's an emotional scene, and we do not know what happened. We just heard gunshots that sounded upon the first few minutes of former President Trump's speech. It looks like they're lifting him up. Is he okay? Can anybody see anything? They're moving the podium to appear to block him. He's on his feet. However, we do not know if he's been struck by bullets or not. He's raising his hand. It looks like he's raising his hand and people are cheering. Do we have audio, guys? Can we raise the audio from the crowd? We have blood. It looks like one of my crew here says that they saw blood on his ear, but look at him. He's pumping his fist. Guys, bring up the audio a little bit more of this live event. Bring the audio up, please. That is remarkable. You have just witnessed history live from this Trump event. This is a Trump campaign event just days from the RNC. Former President Trump potentially hit by gunfire. We have to confirm, but he is still raising his arm in what looks to be courage, confidence, saying that he's okay to that crowd. It looks like people have turned around and are flipping off. You guys be careful with this shot. I don't know if the cameraman, you can see, we apologize in advance. But they turn around. Thank you for bringing up the audio. Keep the audio up. We're going to listen in for a second. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Okay, you can hear expletives from the crowd, so we apologize, but we are on cable news, and we are in a live scene of possible triage as a former president could have potentially been struck by gunfire. You can see Secret Service agents scrambling. We see what looks like members of the military entering the crowd turning themselves around from the podium upon seeing President Trump, former President Trump, escorted away in that black vehicle, looking in the direction of where those gunshots would have come from. And again, we do not know whether or not it was President Trump that was actually hit, but we did see some blood on the side of his face, possibly near his ear. And we don't know if that was from himself or potentially from one of the people that was standing close to him. This is quite remarkable and really unbelievable. Violence at a campaign event just days away from the Republican National Convention. The president's remarks cut extremely short. Those black cars speeding off. It looks like there's an ambulance following right behind. And the crowd is stunned. I mean, Robert Sherman is there on the ground, and he was talking about just how many people are present there, potentially tens of thousands. We're saying it's a loud noise on the screen, but there is no question those were gunshots. There is no question in anybody's mind that gunshots were fired at this event. People were flipping off whoever they think is responsible. You can see how fast those cars are speeding away. That is the response. We've got police vehicles also leaving. Something's happening in the audience as you look on your screen. Guys, I'm asking you in the booth, are you seeing, does it look like people were tackling someone? I'm asking the booth. Nobody knows. So it looks as though something's happening in those bleachers at this fairground. Do we have anybody else, guys? Is Niall Stanage with us? I see him on the screen. Niall, can you tune in with me right now?
I can. Can you hear me, Adrienne?
I can hear you. I haven't even had a chance to go online and see what's happening. All I know is what I witnessed on live television, hearing what was most obviously gunshots in the direction of former President Trump as he went down on the stage. And we couldn't tell if he was. Did you watch this? Were you watching it live?
I was coming down to talk to you, and I saw it just as it happened. So I was relying on the same pictures that you were watching, Adrienne, and your own commentary from what you were seeing. Obviously, extraordinarily dramatic and troubling scenes. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves in terms of saying exactly what happened, but clearly apparent gunshots. We saw the former president, sort of pump his fist in the air. So at least that indicates, for the moment, that he, is there. We see those vehicles,
SWAT vehicles
leaving, rescue vehicles and so forth. I mean, obviously, this is clearly going to be, well, it already is huge news. It's dramatic stuff to watch, and we hope, obviously, that the former president is going to be okay.
I mean, he got on his feet. He got on his feet, and I think that was most comforting to the crowd of mostly supporters. Right now, it looks like our camera is just looking at the roofs or the higher spots. But, Niall, I've got to go to Blake Burman on the phone right now to just chime in on this as well. Thank you, Niall, for being ready at a moment's notice. Blake, have you been watching this by the second as I have and are just as stunned?
I mean, I've seen the same video that you have. Obviously, this is unfolding in real time. So whenever anything like this happens in any instance, you obviously want to take a moment and try to figure out what indeed are the facts, what exactly happened. And I think that's what everyone's doing right now.
Well, it certainly appeared to be gunshots. Loud noises heard. You can call it apparent gunfire. If you looked closely at the podium, once former President Trump was raised to his feet, you could see blood somewhere on the side of his head. But again, he came to his feet and he was pumping his fist in the crowd to say, like, I'm okay, we're going to make it through.
And this might sound obvious, but let me just go ahead and say it just anyways. The Donald Trump, as the former president of the United States, like any former president of the United States, and he's also a major party, presidential nominee, has Secret Service protection. So the men who you saw in the suits there immediately rush to him and jump on him. That is his Secret Service detail. I presume some or many who have been with the president the former president, quite some time. Obviously, he was in office for 4 years and has been out of office for 3.5 now. So, he has a detail that is very lengthy, very significant, that is assigned to him. And that is what you saw there. Having been to these rallies, let me just give you some color real quick. And having been, around presidents, those, they're never on stage with him, but there are, generally speaking, a handful in the immediate vicinity for exact instances like this. They are stationed well in advance of a president or former president of the United States, stationed out there before they take the stage, and for this very reason. And again, we don't know what happened to Donald Trump, right? And we don't know all the facts on this in this incident. But for that very reason, this is exactly why you have Secret Service with a major party nominee, in this case Donald Trump, and a former president.
And the fact that there was such a swift response, I mean, we saw the Secret Service agents, we saw the police, we saw men in fatigues, we saw SWAT vehicles, we saw what looked like people doing a sweep at higher points up at this fairgrounds. Wouldn't that indicate that those people were not just there because there could have been a problem, but because it looked like, from all appearances, there was a dire problem?
Yeah, I mean, again, Donald Trump is a former president. He's the Republican Party nominee for all intents and purposes, which will become official, scheduled to become official on Thursday evening. And so he has a massive security presence in the form of the United States Secret Service around him. When you obviously go to these events, you have multiple law enforcement jurisdictions, right? You have the Secret Service, who is attached specifically to the individual. In this case, Donald Trump. You have state police. You have local police. And so when you talk about individuals rushing in, it could have been, very likely law enforcement from many different jurisdictions, throughout Pennsylvania and that immediate area.
I don't know if you've had a chance to get online, but I'm literally trying to find anything I can about this incident, and there's nothing. It's remarkable. I mean, I don't think you don't expect anything like this to happen, but. No. And again, I know that we are measured and we want to make sure that we get all the facts right. But when's the last time we knew of an attempt at taking the life of a president, let alone a presidential nominee?
We know the obvious instances in American history, over the course of many decades when you talk about JFK, Reagan, et cetera. But this is obviously, again, I don't want to get too far out ahead because we don't know the information. We don't have the details, but we are all humans and we can all watch what we saw and listen to what we heard. And really, that's all we know at this point in time until told otherwise. And
that sound, unmistakable for a lot of people if they've ever heard it in person or on television, but to have it happen in live broadcast when we're expecting just the standard campaign event, the crowds there, I mean, Robert Sherman had mentioned the tens of thousands, the chair is almost all empty now from that scene at the fairgrounds in Pennsylvania.
And you would expect now, under the assumption that those were gunshots, a massive law enforcement presence and a massive search to find the individual or individuals involved.
Did you see something? I mean, I noticed it, and I was asking if anybody saw anything, because your eyes are racing from every corner of the screen, and you're trying to kind of protect the fact that we're on live TV, and people are literally holding up the middle finger and using the F word in the direction of what they think this gunshot or alleged or presumed gunshot was, whatever the word is at this point. We're still waiting to confirm everything. But did you see at some point there were some people gather around a group of people in the bleachers? I couldn't tell if somebody went down or if there was somebody tackled. Again, I don't know if you noticed that.
Look, this is all very, I haven't, I mean, I'm watching and scrolling through, in real time with you.
And really, the only thing that is popping up, besides what's on live television right now with all of the cable networks, is that there were medical emergencies at this rally because of the heat. It's in the 90s, temperature-wise. It's Pennsylvania, so you can expect some humidity. And the fact is now they have caution tape being put up. And the crowds rushed out of this venue. I mean, obviously, you see people walking slowly, meandering out of the rows of empty chairs. But there were a lot of people here for this event, and he went down so quickly, you heard screams in the audience from this campaign event 2 days away from the Republican National Convention. Now, it looks like there are still people in the stands, and they're just deciding to wait. I don't know what they're doing. Blake, we appreciate you jumping on and attempting to make sense of this as we are live here on NewsNation Now. Thank you again, Blake. Robert Sherman, I know you're there on the ground. What are you hearing?
Yeah, hey there, Adrienne. So we just had to move down the road here for just a couple of minutes now. We actually just saw the former president's motorcade speeding by with all possible haste here, flying out of town. I mean, I can tell you that just about everywhere in town, pretty much everybody has heard the news already. So it's definitely a very hectic scene where there's still obviously not a lot of information here yet, but a shock to a lot of people that this would happen, something that they couldn't have fathomed happening here. But, I mean, even just down the road, everybody is so well aware of this. I mean, you're seeing police car after police car just speeding by us here right now on the way out of town. And as we said, the motorcade just flew past us a few minutes ago.
And as you were there, I mean, have you seen any people, are you in the vicinity where you would see any of these attendees? Because they would have a lot to say about what they experienced when we were just live. We were just broadcasting this event, And then all of a sudden you heard screams. You saw former President Trump fall to the ground. We don't know if he fell or if he was brought down by his Secret Service. And then you heard screams from the audience, and then expletives and people turning around in the direction of where they would have expected what sounded like gunfire to be coming from.
Right, yeah. So it's obviously a very hectic scene right now, yet in order to try and get back to kind of the ground zero of where all of this is. But I mean, what you saw from that environment there is, I mean, just pure shock, from what exactly transpired on stage. And again, I mean, it's still a lot of question marks here as to exactly what all took place and all of the details that are pertaining to all of this here. But it is just a pretty overwhelming sense of shock. I mean, all over the place. I mean, cars are trying to get out of here as quick as possible. I mean, everybody is well aware in the small community of Butler, Pennsylvania, what happened.
And it appears as though the crowds are disappointed, obviously, that speech got cut short, but are really concerned about the former president's status. How is he doing? Thankfully, we saw him raise his arm in the air, which was certainly more than a sign of life. It was a sign of almost defiance, like, you're not going to hurt me. But we don't know. And we saw blood on the side of his head when we saw him rise up from that podium. I do have to ask you, Robert, I'm looking at the crowds of empty chairs, seeing police on scene. It looks like those SWAT vehicles have also left. But are you aware of if any of these folks in the crowd are there hanging out in the bleachers, just not wanting to leave? We're looking at this video, this live feed from Butler, Pennsylvania, and it looks like there are rows of chairs that were knocked down. Then there are these bleachers, and a section of the audience, it seems, were still there.
Yeah, that's hard to tell, just the nature of a lot of these Trump rallies. I mean, setting the scene where this is. I mean, this is at a fairgrounds, that is a little bit off the beaten path here. It's difficult to get in. It's difficult to get out. I mean, there's really only one route to do so. So, I mean, as someone who's covered a lot of these events before, it's something that you make into an entire day, because it's very difficult to get out of these events in their entirety. So, I mean, we should get a better grasp of exactly, how cordoned off the area is, or what exactly that looks like in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.